Welcome everyone, it is that time again where another set has come out, the Brothers War. I want to give you my initial thoughts looking at the cards so that when you go into pre-release, you have an idea of what the set's about, what's happening, what kind of decks can you throw together, and what cards do I think look pretty good. Let's dive in. White wants you to play mana value cards 3 and less, and then ramp at the end into big artifacts. Blue wants you to be drawing cards, it wants you to be casting non-creature spells, basically what blue always does. Control the game, draw cards, tap down creatures, that kind of thing. It's a very standard blue prowess draw card type build. It's classic blue. Black actually is very heavily focused on sacrifice, which is fine, but there's also elements of just being interested in creature numbers and increasing your creature hits. So Ravenous Gigamole certainly shows you that this set in black is really interested in drawing cards and getting more creatures out. Whether you choose to do the sacrifice element of black is up to you. I believe the set designers thought red would care about artifact support, and there certainly are some very good artifacts that are worth mentioning that can be cast as a red spell rather than colorless, and they're quite good in red. However, I think red is just a normal modern day red here where we see a very aggressive style deck. There is a sacrifice element to it, but you don't have to play that style. Really, red is all about get your 3/1s down as 2-drops and then start attacking. So red punishes opponents who do not get a blocker down by turn 2 or 3 pretty heavily. I don't think that's anything earth-shattering for red, but it's worth noting it's pretty aggressive here. As far as green goes, we're looking for, of course, ramping your mana, which is something green's always interested in. However, green in this set is a really interesting common level color in that it is definitely the most powerful. And green's always kind of the most powerful, but here, green has the most balance to the creatures. It has some of the best enter the battlefield triggers, in my opinion, and it has some of the best and only battle tricks that are worth running. So when you add all that together, green at the common level is looking extraordinarily strong. I do think it's worth noting that before the 4-drops hit the board, so 3 mana and under, most creatures are not balanced, so you don't have 2 2s for 2, 3 3s for 3. That's just not how this set is designed. You're not putting down 1 1s for 1. Instead, you're putting down a lot of 2 1s for 2, or 1 2s, or 3 1s, or 1 3s, or 2 3s, or for 3 mana, 3 2s. So you might not be getting the best of both worlds in terms of offense and defense. And when you do see a creature that is a 2 2 for 2, or a 3 3 for 3, or a 4 4 for 4, that's rare, and they're actually quite good. So consider that when you're drafting as well, that, being on mana power toughness is rare enough in this set where it becomes kind of a good card automatically. For white, if I was playing white, I think the most important cards here are definitely the enchantment removal, sorceries, instants. White's common level creatures are okay, but nothing amazing. I do think that there is an interesting build where Warlord's Elite could be a very early 4-drop that can start running the board pretty early, but you're going to have a excellent draft or an excellent pool to be able to pull off 1 and 2 drops consistently enough to get this guy out on turn 3. Perhaps the less risky white build would be centered around the Thopter Architect, going for artifacts entering the battlefield and making many of your smaller creatures flyers through use of mass production, Scrapwork Cohort, and then get some benefits from some of the other splash cards that splash with white that all care about artifacts. For blue, Air Marshal will be surprisingly not so bad. The flying thing is pretty good. I think that Mightstone's animation is really going to be the common level bread and butter for blue. If you read it this way, if you have an artifact on the board by turn 3, by turn 4 you can be swinging with a 4/4, and that's just really good. Plus you get to draw a card. I don't think it gets much better than that in the set. It's probably the best common level card in terms of making a creature. But blue also has some other good cards, such as Latinam Adept, which can run away with the game at a common level as a 4-drop if left unattended. And then Wing Commando is going to be really good. Anytime you have flying, prowess, and it's 2/2 as a start for a 3-drop, it's going to be fantastic. Watch out for that card. For black, Gixian Skullflare is by far maybe one of the best common creatures in the entire set because there is so much mill in every single color. It will be very easy to set your graveyard to start that activation process of it getting just 1/1s every single turn. So it can run away with the game very easily. Black also has the best instant in the game and best removal where you're exiling target creature or planeswalker. It won't cost 5 mana to cast, and exiling will be important in this set. I also think Trench Stalker will overperform as a 5 mana 4/5. I think the Death Touch and Lifelink are extremely relevant. I do think that Bitter Reunion is a card to watch for. It will trigger prowess, and it draws cards. Both of these things are extremely important no matter what color you're playing in this set. It really does everything that any color would want to do, but especially red. It helps set your hand so you're not flooding. It helps you draw cards to trigger other creatures. It helps you get more spells to trigger more prowess. And it helps you later in the game push in large damage as a surprise for haste. It's really just a red catch-all. I think people will sleep on it. Don't be one of those people. The Chain Dancer is going to be pulling over time, and so will be the Forge Chanter. And, Conscript Infiltree and even Rock Hunter are going to be fantastic aggro red cards. Don't overlook them. I also think that Red Sibling Rivalry could be a card that people sleep on and don't really read a lot into. Normally Stealing Creature's okay, but there's so much sack outlets in this set, and there's so many combos so that you could sack the creature after that this card could be better than normal. And also the creatures that you could steal are potentially much bigger with 10/10s that are trample on the board potentially later in the game. So don't sleep on stealing a creature for a turn. It could end up being a very good strategy in this set. Unleashed Shell is one of the only instant speed removals for red, and 5 damage is going to kill pretty much everything. Not everything, but close, especially by turn 5. So the fact that it does 2 extra damage on top of it to the permanent's owner is pretty good. Green, I already said before, I really like the color a lot in this set, and I do mean it. The Argothian Opportunist is basically a nerfed Jewel Thief, but still very good. The Argothian Sprite is a nerfed Rootwalla of sorts, but it's a 2/2 for 2, which I told you is very rare in this set. And even the Blanchwood Prowler is a card I do like for the mill and hopefully get a land into your hand. It's an upgraded Vine Wall. The Burrowing Razor Maw is going to outperform as a 3-drop. I just don't think there's a lot of cards that are going to deal with a 4/2 attacking in a very effective manner. And green has my favorite common level battle trick, and maybe the best battle trick in the whole set, which is Gaia's Gift. I think it's just fantastic. You're putting a 1/1 counter on a creature, it's getting reach, it's getting trample, it's getting hexproof, and it's indestructible. I mean, that's just everything. Nothing's going to touch what you put on that. So it's just fantastic. And to get a 1/1 counter after it that stays behind is really good. So for 2 mana, that's totally worth it. Giant Growth is also okay, and Epic Confrontation will definitely provide some good removal for green. I think green's 6-drop, the 5/5 Trampler, is going to be really good, and the ability is fantastic. So, like I said, there's a lot of milling in this set, so the XX is probably going to be a pretty good number by the time you get to turn 6. Or 7 when you cast this card. Perimeter Patrol as a 3/3 for 3 is, again, going to be an overperformer, especially since it can potentially hit for even higher damage. So I do like Perimeter Patrol, and most of green I like in general. It even has some good Death Touch. So there are a lot of artifacts in this set, and I just want to say that, artifacts in general, Magic, tend to cost more than what you're getting out of it, and that cost is built in because you don't have to have a specific color. Just be aware of which artifacts are worth the cost and which ones aren't. Cards like the Mine Worker, Power Plant Worker, and Tower Worker are all individually quite good value for an artifact creature. Together, they're even more value. But something like a Swift Gear Drake is probably not exactly worth it. Some common artifacts that I think will go into decks quite well is the Rust Goliath and Boulder Branch Golem for green. I do worry that people will play the Rust Goliath too early, and it should be played as a 10/10. But I think most of the time, sadly, people will have to bring it out earlier than that. The Boulder Branch, though, has value whether you cast it early or not. Mishra's Juggernaut is also a must-have for red aggro. It's going to be very, very effective as a 5 trample damage that can recur. So watch out for that one if you're in red. And for black, the Gorging Warplow as a 1/1 2-mana Death Touch will be quite effective. And play Revenant is going to be crucial in any sacrifice red-black deck. So that 1-drop for a 1/2 is going to be well sought after in draft, I am sure. I'm not quite as impressed with Blue's offering for a artifact creature at the common level. There's something about having to pay 3 to untap a 6/6 that just doesn't sit super well, especially since you pay 6 mana for the 6/6 to start with. The whole 3 mana thing on top of it's just ridiculous. White's looks pretty good with the Onulet that can recur, and it's a 4/4 that comes back as another 4/4, and each time it dies you gain 2 life, which is going to be quite nice, I think. Although this set does feature quite a lot of multicolored cards, I do think that this set predominantly should be played as a near monocolor set. This set has some very large payouts for going single color or close to it, and I think that's going to be something you should consider when deciding to craft your deck. Those are my initial thoughts for the set. I hope you go out and enjoy your pre-release. I know I will. If you have any questions about any specific cards or any of my thoughts, please leave them in the comments. I'll try and answer them before Friday so that you can know the answer before pre-release. Anyway, I will see you guys later on my channel, but thanks for watching. See you next time.